that's okay.
I think I'm having lunch.
Accommodate that. Try to. Welcome. Thanks for coming again on a beautiful day, lovely spring day. This was like this last year. I remember last year we were doing these classes and we had exactly the same thing with this.
Who here was here during the blizzard of '77? Okay, they said in the paper today that we are going to probably beat the mark of that year.
Dramatically.
What, the amount of snow?
I saw, yeah, they said in the Buffalo News today that we're getting close to the 180 inches.
But it didn't all happen at once.
About to lose the record. It's Erie, Pennsylvania that's gonna happen.
Oh, Erie is worse. Okay, now I feel better. I thought
They're going to be there.
Very eerie, the mistake on the lake.
Yeah.
that's a good record to lose. Yeah.
I know, it's funny, people get upset because everyone thinks of Buffalo and snow, and yet if we lose this record, they're gonna be so sad.
Well, what I understand is that in '77, neither Bill and I were in the area, but that's where. No, I was 4.
Oh my gosh, I could be his mother.
That 77 storm, the national exposure it got, changed the way people viewed Buffalo. That's my understanding.
That's right.
That
It
the
wouldn't
president,
surprise
they
me.
didn't have tweets back then, but the fact that they would, that when I was down in Atlanta about 15 years ago, there was a young lady who was doing her words for kindergarten, and she had to list 10 things for cold. And she got to the end of the list and she said, Buffalo. I said, wow, it's like we're the association. It doesn't matter how much you say Syracuse gets more snow than us. The association is so embedded in the culture.
Our children who grew up in this and were alive in the '77 blizzard, but they often, if there's enough snow in Buffalo that it makes the national news, they often call to make sure we're all right, even though they know we really are.
Yeah. We know how to handle it.
Exactly. If
That's
Atlanta
the
gets
difference.
1 inch, they're like, close everything.
Well,
It had some great benefits. I went to a conference in Miami the week after, and I was at the bar, and the bartender said, well, where are you from, sir? And I said, Buffalo, New York. And he called out to the bar. I was surrounded with martinis. Every friend that came in, I said, have a martini.
We're like veterans of the snow, right? We're perceived like that, We go around the
I'll have to
world.
remember that.
We're snow veterans.
Now, what bar was that?
That's what I said.
All right. Well, do we want to go around and say our names again, or?
Probably, because every group's a little different. I think a lot of us, I can see, we're starting to get know of one another.
Okay, we can go around this way this time. So, I'm Bill Hennessy. I'm the pastor here at North.
Buffalo Bob.
Mary Beth Carr.
Ed Eisenlord from North.
Karen Shapiro.
Stu Shapiro.
Chris Gunther.
Cynthia McNamara. I work here.
Ladies and back.
We have
Folks back here.
I'm Marta Hersbray.
Rose Metzger.
Peggy. Hi, my name is Jess.
Heather Randall.
Duncan Hemmick.
Chuck Korn from Shishlam.
Ann Eisenlord from here.
Tony Lake from here.
Dirk Pooley from here.
Bruce Baum from Shishlam.
Cindy Seener.
David from Shershel.
And Rabbi Alex.
All right. Very good. Thanks.
Okay, I found it so fascinating. I got things that are part of our Lenten tradition.
Oh. Okay.
And I learned some things. I come from a very German background, but the Fastnachtkugels are really a breaking of a fast, but it was an exception to the rule. The fast, the 40 days. But on Sunday morning, if you got up early and had your breakfast before sunup, you could have the foods you were supposed to be fasting from.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I've always loved them, and now I never know why.
That's true in the Muslim community during Ramadan. They wake up early in the summer. It's very early to have their breakfast and coffee and stuff.
Yeah. But, so that was the history there.
I'd be up all
The-
night.
And they go back in they've got recorded history for those to the 1500s, and they have the recipes that are remarkably similar. They're all a yeast dough, for those of you who are bakers. The hot cross buns are English in tradition, and were originally served on Good Friday, and then went to the week before, and then when they became more commercialized, are for Lent.
Tops started to fade.
Is it because there's a cross on them? Is that
There is a
that-
cross.
But
And
is that why they're served at that
Yes,
time?
and that's, and they're a yeast dough with egg wash and the cross, but that goes way back, and
Yes, dude's got it.
there's a nursery rhyme, there's a prize if you
Hot
remember,
cross buns.
the hot cross, the one
Hot
One a penny, two a penny,
penny.
hot cross
Yeah,
buns.
and the one a penny, two a penny, if it was one a penny, they were larger. So,
I think that was like an advertising slogan, it sounds like. You know, they would go
It
around
was.
and sing that song.
oh yes, they did, they hold them on the street.
It becomes a nursery rhyme, but it was
Right.
actually,
But
someone
they go
calling.
back to 1400, and the Polish bread is again a brioche, and it's served year round, but in Lent it gets the crumb topping. And I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
That's another possible topic for this class, the different understandings of fast.
Yeah.
So true. For our third session, we'll be able to bring that in. That's we bring everything together, so other things.
All right, well,
Excuse my digression.
well, thanks for the food. Appreciate it. I guess we'll start again with a little prayer. And I'll start this time, and then you're going to teach us something new.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Shall we pray? For this time together, and for the spirit of discovery and curiosity around this table, we give you thanks, O Lord. Amen.
So the prayer I'm going to teach is something we do at board meetings. So this is kind of a combination of study, but also busying ourselves on the needs of the community. It's actually a modern blessing that was invented by a colleague of mine some 15 years ago, because there was no way to kind of bless. We didn't have impromptu prayer, isn't it, which can work in any setting, right? So in Jewish world, boards are somewhat new. So we wanted to bless what we're doing in terms of governance, but I think it's a nice one. So last week we did Lasok b'divrei Torah, to busy ourselves in the words of Torah, Torah meaning study. This week we're going to do Lasok b'tzorchei hatzibur. Lasok, to busy ourselves in the needs of community. Tzorchei hatzibur, the needs of community. And it has the same prayer formula, which is something we'll touch upon in this class in particular, what a prayer formula is, that is used as the normative prayer formula. In other words, without this prayer formula, it doesn't feel like prayer. So it's Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. That means, blessed are you, God, King of the universe. Asher Kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, that commands us with your commandments and commands us to la'asok b'tzorchei hatzibur. Okay, and there's a trick there, ch sound. Remember, in Israel, part of the problem, it's not just the the food. There's different. We actually have different sounds in our language. This ch sound is very difficult to transpose. Why did lettering start in the first place? Because you had who speak Aramaic, right above in Lebanon today. They would go out. They were the traders, and they needed a way to write down phonetically the different languages, and pictograms didn't work for phonetics. So if you're going to go and you're going to trade, the Phoenicians, they would trade with all different trade partners. And they spread throughout the Mediterranean, and they needed a way to phonetically say. Well, there's some things that phonetically don't work because you have a different language. So in a guttural language, like Arabic or Hebrew, and you have a ch sound, how do you put that into the sound? Because there is no equivalent sound. So there, you might see this in Hanukkah, because Hanukkah in Hebrew is Chanukah. Chanukah. So it starts with the guttural sound. And so you'll either see in the Jewish community CH, you'll see just regular H, because it's kind of close enough. You might see an H with like 2 dots on it. You know, there's no way to completely indicate that or to say it. The normative one comes from the New York Times, 120 years ago, where they put down Hanukkah. But that's just an example of how we can't even if we try to transpose, it doesn't completely work. So today we're talking, the next 2 sessions, we figured when Bill and I were talking about this, that we'd really just go for it. Go for the 2 things that seem to get in the way of dialogue, that are present, but we don't, it's uncomfortable even to talk about them because they're such important issues in our communities and they cause this discomfort. When one of us is, so this one, in this case today, it's the Jewish community coming over and hearing Jesus in different settings, and suddenly all of these emotions will come with it. And next week we're going to look at anti-Semitism and the Holocaust, which I think for different reasons, will kind of hover over conversations like, how do we even deal with this? And so we figured this particular, because we trust one another and we're getting to know one another, let's just put the elephants that are in the room on the table and try to have a conversation about it. Because if we do that, maybe we can figure out what's actually going on instead of continually ignoring, because that's easier to do. So last time we began with a chance to talk amongst ourselves. We talked about going into a service that was not our own and kind of what came out. For this dialogue, Bill and I thought maybe think about a situation where you felt uncomfortable. It doesn't have to be in a religious setting. What made you uncomfortable? What changed the dialogue? It might be among friends when suddenly, something came up that, oh, my friends are different than me in some way. It could be in a community setting where something happened that suddenly you felt like you were an outsider. So think about that for a moment, and when you're ready, we'll do the same kind of method as last time. And I see we're a little more spread out. Last time it seemed like, it was funny, Bill sat on this side, and I'm on this side, but it seemed like I think the Jews were on that side. So I'm seeing a little more intermingling. We have a concept in Judaism of mechitza. Mechitza is the barrier between men and women in an Orthodox religious setting. And it could be, like a wall, a curtain, or it could be a balcony, but we had like almost a mechitza in the room between the 2. So take a moment to think, and when you're ready, have a couple of minutes of dialogue about that. Anyone have questions about what? Is that clear? Okay. I'm gonna think too.
Yeah. Okay. I meant. Hello.
Hi, I'm Stu.
I'm Chris.
Chris.
Nice.
Hi.
I'm trying. This is Cynthia.
Cynthia.
We'll do the trio.
Okay.
I just said to her, I'm never uncomfortable. I really can't think of a
Okay, and you're from here too.
Yeah.